Now, there's no question about it that 2024 was full of box office failures and terrible films out there, quite frankly, by multiple studios, especially, of course, from the Walt Disney Company, via Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, and what looms for 2025 is going to be quite interesting about what's actually going on right now with Snow White, the live-action remake, and the ongoing press tour disaster involving Rachel Zegler, who is the star of the film, if you even want to call her a star at this point. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So we know one thing about Rachel Zegler is that she has been going on multiple rants about the overall response against this movie, of the overall backlash. Those that are fed up with DEI or anything to do with an agenda coming from Bob Iger, the Disney studio heads, of course, the executives, all of the people involved in this film, it is nothing more than their overall ideology being thrown into the Snow White storyline. And this is something, by the way, that Rachel Zegler fully supports and really got caught up in yet another rant toward the general public for really being opposed to this thing and really rejecting this thing outright and boycotting this movie. We know even a lot of Disney fans out there want nothing to do with Snow White 2025. So let's jump into this. Now, one thing about Rachel Zegler is that we know that she doesn't know when to quit, when to be quiet, when to, quite frankly, just shut up already, right? Now, we know that many of her films have been a box office disaster. We saw what happened with Y2K. We saw what happened with many others out there that she has been involved in, either as a supporting actress or the main actress. But one thing in particular is that this film is actually geared to be the biggest box office flop in Disney history. So let's jump into this. Now, with the Walt Disney Company already in a constant downward spiral after their issues with the marketing for Snow White 25, as well as the backlash toward Zegler, one major development that is now active involves Rachel Zegler striking back at the public in response to the backlash yet again, where she recently delivered the following. What really offends me is that this is a film fit for the modern woman that aims to inspire so many women in our country to stand up like a warrior, and that's what Snow White is all about in this one. We wanted to go with a different approach with not only her backstory, but why she is called Snow White. And there seems to be a large amount of both men and women that just don't understand basic common sense of what it means to be a true woman, especially in this film. Because in this film, the way we tell this story, it's not just a fictional tale. It is a lesson to how women should act in certain situations against society that they find themselves captured in. This is not your traditional Snow White film from 1937. We had to go with a new approach that was both balanced and fair, and especially respected diversity, equity, and inclusion, because to me that is the most important thing in the world. I think I wrongfully get criticism for defending that, because everyone likes to claim that this film holds some kind of an agenda from me or from Disney, and that is nothing more than a big fat lie, coming from false narratives of a loud minority of critics that want to destroy the fun for others. This is a film that I think is only for women in spirit, but I'm seeing all of these families boycotting this great piece of art, and it's so childish to act like that, and to act that way before you even know what this movie is about. This is why I find it to be very important that we get the word out there on what it means to be a woman, a courageous woman, who is willing to stand up and fight for society. DEI is not an agenda. I don't care what anyone out there says. If you claim that's an ideology of any kind, then I think you need to really look in the mirror to figure out what, of course, and how this actual world works, because diversity, equity, and inclusion is a normal concept. It's a basic function to create fairness and balance and to provide opportunities to everyone and all that want to be a part of a project for something like Snow White, as an example, that is just so embedded in pop culture. So guys, before I move on about what Rachel Zegler is just throwing out there, all the nonsense that she's actually saying, is that number one, she's saying that DEI is not an agenda. Alright, number one, that of course is a total lie coming from her. She wants to call people liars. She's lying through her mouth, because we know that diversity, equity, and inclusion, coming from not just Disney, but all of these major Hollywood studios, even many of course organizations out there, many corporations in, the actual basic way of functioning everyday jobs out there, they are using DEI as an agenda, as a way to just throw in their ideology into the workplace. And they've been doing this, by the way, for well over 10 plus years now, and it only got worse to a new level, I would say, within the past, 3 years. So Rachel Zegler is, again, I think, going into complete damage control mode. She's trying to defend this movie, knowing that nobody is going to go ahead and see this. Sure, you're going to have some people that are going to support this garbage, but in reality, nobody with an actual mind of their own is going to give Rachel Zegler any of her time, or even giving Disney any of their money for a movie like this that disrespects not just the 1937 Disney classic, but the Brothers Grimm tale where it all really truly started. So again, I mean, like I've said before, Rachel Zegler really putting it out there that she does not even respect the families that want nothing to do with movies like this. Look, people have a overall decision of their own. They don't have to see movies if they don't want to see them. That's all that it boils down to, right? If people don't want to see a product because it looks really bad, then that's how it works. I don't think that she understands that. She's one to say that people don't get it. Well, she doesn't get it. Let's continue on. She goes on to conclude, we are just seeing a mixture of a lot of angry families, she says, and men that have no clue what they are even talking about when it boils down, like I said before, to the story of Snow White, she says. This is a story that will go down in history and will be an instant classic. I can almost guarantee many of the critics will line up to see me and would have instantly changed their rhetoric about a film like this that sets up the character in a new fashion. So that's the other thing that really, strikes people when it comes down to Rachel Zegler, is that she says things like that. When people come to see me, or people will come to see me, or even the critics are going to give their time of day to see me. She says stuff like that, like she's so egotistical, like she's so wrapped up in her own mind, so self-absorbed, which she is, by the way. And that's who she is. She's that insufferable, and I'm really shocked, I truly, truly am, that Disney is just letting her go out there and say whatever about this film. I think, honestly, Disney knows it's game over for this movie, so they're just calling it quits and saying, alright, Rachel, we're going to take the leash off you and just let you do whatever you want to do at this point, because it's over to begin with. They know it, we know it, and I'm almost certain that Rachel knows it. She's just getting very bitter about it, and that's why she's acting the way that she's acting right now. But let's be honest, she always acted like this, even before the massive box office flops came into fruition. So I think that at the end of the day, this is going to be a very big deal breaker for Disney. This could potentially be the one movie where it may very well rattle enough toward the executives and saying, yeah, you know what, we might want to put the brakes on making live-action remakes based on the animated classics, especially ones with diversity, equity, and inclusion at the forefront. So overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Zegler's overall behavior about Snow White and the backlash that comes with it. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.